rigging a simple full body turn in Moho. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mario. All right, let's start quickly because I want to cover so many things today. So we will start very quickly. So the idea of the webinar today is that we are going to draw, rig, and create a full body turn for this character. You probably see this image very small here. This is a character created by Onya McGuinness, an Irish artist. So the first thing is that I will just import, this is an image, so I will just drag it into a new file in Moho. So I have it here. And when I am working with, when I am tracing images, I like to first scale it a little bit. So I will use the transform layer tool here and I will scale it up. And also I like to duplicate it. So I will just duplicate this layer with this button here. And I will move the second image here. And now I can use the crop tool to remove this extra white there. So the idea, this works for me, it's just a little tip. So I will trace over the character in the middle and I will use the one at the side to pick the colors more quickly. So that's all. So we are ready to start now. To start, I will create a new vector layer. Now it's very important when you are building stuff in Moho, when you are drawing or when you are creating a skeleton or when you are making adjustments, it is very important to be on frame 0. By default, the software is on frame 0, but when you are animating, probably you will move this. I mean, not probably, you will have to move this cursor across the timeline. But please be sure, if you are drawing, if you are building stuff, please be sure to drag it back to frame 0. Okay, so we will be working most of the webinar, we will be working here on frame 0. All right, so now I will create a new vector layer. Okay, and I will call this vector layer head. All right, and now I have the vector layer selected, so I have the drawing tools available here. So I will use the add point tool, and I like to have everything unchecked here and only have activated the sharp corners. All right, so I will use that. If you want to move the canvas, you can hold the right click and move the mouse or your pen to move the canvas. And if you want to zoom in, you can hold shift on the keyboard and drag the pen, the right click right or left. Right, so I will be doing this a lot during this webinar. So we are going to start with the head. All right, so what I'm going to do is with the add point tool, I will just drag from this corner. I will start dragging the pen or the mouse and just releasing there, and I have this line. And now to continue this drawing, I can drag from the last point and add a new point here. And actually, to make this more visible, I can go to display quality here and I can fade unselected layers. So what that will do is it will make everything to look like more black and white, but only the layer selected will be on color. Okay, so I'm just doing this because I think the line will be more visible for you. So I will continue drawing here, and now I will drag from here to this corner, and now to this corner, and now to this corner. So once I am done, if I want to close this draw that I just did, I just press enter on the keyboard, and that will weld the end point with the starting point. Hello to Juanita in Colombia. She's sending a hello there. Actually, I will check the chat too. Right? I'm checking there, but I will try to continue there. Okay, so now since we are going to make a full body turn, a very important thing is to keep the symmetry in the number of points of what we are drawing. So for instance, this means that if I want to add a point here, I can just drag here and I will add a new point to create this curve. If I add one at one side, I need to add it at the other side too. So you see I'm keeping the symmetry here. And if I add, for instance, a point here, I will also add a point here. So the symmetry is not about the shape, it's about the amount of points. So now I will add a point here in the middle, and now I will start using the curvature tool, which is this one here. And if I drag over a point to the right, I will increase the curvature, and you can see I have these handles now that I can move. All right, so I will just adjust the curvature of these points to make them closer to the actual picture. All right, so let's say something like that, and in this case for the nose I will also make it a bit curved there, and also here at the top. So now I have this shape that is close to the actual shape of the character, and now I want to paint my character. All right, so what I'm going to do to paint this character, because right now it's only wireframe, there is nothing really here, there is no fill, no stroke. So I'm going to go to the fill tools here, and I will select the create shape tool, and with this tool I can select the points I want to paint. So in this case I will select all the points here, and the software will offer me with these red squares, will offer me to paint this. So then I will just, actually let me reset this, I will just create shape here. So now you see we have a shape, we have a white shape with black lines. Hello to Germany, hello to Los Angeles or LA, and hello to Valencia also. Thank you very much for coming today. Now I will go to display quality again, and I will uncheck the fade and selected layers, because actually I want to see the colors again. So now this shape is selected, but just to be sure, I can go to the select shape tool here, is this one, and I can click on this shape, and you can see this red rectangle around. That means this one is selected. And now I want to take the color of the character. So what I'm going to do is I will drag this eyedropper here, and I will just take that orange color, maybe one more from here, a bit darker. And now I want to take also the color from the line, so I will zoom in, and I will take this eyedropper and drag it here. So now I have, let me just hide this thing. So I have the orange color and the brown line. Okay, hello to Mexico and to Poland too. Now I like to work with brushes. So with this shape selected, I will go here to this square that says no brush, and I will click it. And here you have a set of brushes, and you can also create your own brushes. In this case, I want to use this one I created. I like it because it's like an even line, and I will just use this one. Our drawing is not going to be exactly the same as the original character. I'm trying to make it as quick as possible. We have only 1 hour here, so it will be a bit different. All right, but we have this line, and now we can go to the line width tool, and with this tool I can drag over the points. So if I drag to the right, they will be thicker, and to the left they will be thinner. So I can just add some difference here for the lines. All right, so let's say I'm very happy with this. Hello to Egypt too. And now I want to draw this yellow part of the head. So what I'm going to do is I will create a new vector layer. I will call this vector layer yellow. All right, and now I will hide the head here by clicking on the eyes, and I want to draw this shape. So again, with the add point tool, I will just, let's say I will start from the middle here. So I will draw a line here, and remember we were trying to keep the symmetry of the character. Hello to Norway too. We want to keep the symmetry of the character there. So if I add a line here, I will add another one here. Even when it is outside of the actual head, I will just continue drawing like that. And the same here, I will add a line here, and I will add another one here. So I'm keeping the symmetry of the character. And now I will add 1 point here, 1 point in the middle of the character, which is around here, and another one here. And now I will drag a line up to the first point, and then press enter. So now this will be a closed shape. All right, and now I will, okay, hello to Costa Mesa, California too. Hello. Now I'm going to add some points for this part of the eyes, and I can use the curvature tool. I'm going to start using shortcuts too. So for instance, curvature is C, so I will just press C to modify the curvature. And now I will drag a line up to the first point, and then press enter. So now this will be a closed shape. All right, and now I will add points is A, so I'm going to add points with A, and transform points is T, so if you want to move a point, you can press T there. So I will just start using shortcuts here to make things faster. So, okay, so this is the shape I want. So once I am done with that, I will paint this shape. Again, with the create shape tool, I will just select everything I want to paint, and then I will create shape. And this shape is going to be orange because orange is the last color I used, so it will repeat that color. But now I will pick again the color from here. So now we have the yellow, and actually the line should be black here, or a bit darker there. So I will pick that darker color. All right, and let me hide this. And now we have these two shapes. Of course, the yellow one, it doesn't look too good. It's bigger than the head. But what we are going to do is I will select both layers here. I will hold shift on the keyboard and I will click on the yellow one. So now I have both of them selected. And now I will go to new layer here and I will select group with selection. All right, so now there is a group and that group contains both vector layers. And I will call this group head. All right, and now I will create a mask in this group because actually what I want is that the yellow shape, the yellow layer should be inside of the orange layer. So in order to do that, I just right click over the group and I mask inside bottom layer. So if I do that, the bottom layer was the head. So now the head is the mask and the yellow layer now appears inside of the head. So you don't see anything that is outside of the orange layer. Now, there is something that we missed here, and is that we don't have the line now for the orange. You can see that it's just yellow there. So to fix that, it's very simple. I just double click on the head vector layer. So that opens the layer properties. And now I go to masking tab and select exclude the strokes. So I click OK, and now the strokes are not part of the mask, so you can continue seeing them. All right, so we have this part of the head done. I will make the rest of the character visible here. And now I will continue drawing different things. So over the yellow layer, I will create a new layer for the eyes. Okay, so I will call this layer eyes. And I will use the draw shape tool here. And I will select a circle here. So I will just drag and create two circles for the eyes there. And now if I make my group visible, you can see the circles are yellow too because they took the color from the previous thing I painted. So I will select both shapes. So I will click on one and then shift on the keyboard. I will hold shift on the keyboard and click the second one. So I have both selected. Now I can release shift and now I will pick the colors from the eyes. So I have that. And now I will create a new layer for the mouth. So I will just call it mouth here. All right, and let me just hide the group so I can actually see the mouth. And actually I won't call it mouth, sorry, I will call it M. All right, because this is the closed mouth and this is just the closed mouth, so we will call M because it's the mouth we are going to use for the letter M. Sorry, I was a bit unfocused because I was reading at the comments here. Anyway, this is the M mouth. So what I'm going to do is I will create this line here, but actually since we said we wanted to have symmetry between both sides, I will just create an extra line here. So that will be the mouth. And now I will paint this line, create shape. And now if I make it visible, you can see the shape is here. And you can see that everything that I am creating here is also being masked by the layer of the head. All right, so now I can just modify the line width. And let's say I'm happy with that. Now, I will actually select the M layer and I will create a group for it. Again, so I will group with selection. And I will call this group mouth. All right, so I have a group with that M inside, and inside of this group I will create a new layer and I will call this layer O. Okay, because I want to make the letter O now for the, I mean the mouth for the letter O. So that will be just a simple circle. Let's say something like that. All right. So I just have that O here, and let's say I'm happy with that color. All right. So now I have the mouth and it contains an M and an O. All right. But now what I'm going to do, because this is a normal group and I want to transform the normal group into a switch layer. And a switch layer is like a group, but it shows you only one layer at the time. So it can contain, I don't know, 10 layers, but you will see only one of those 10 layers at the time. So I will just right click over this layer and I will select convert to switch. So now you can see, we can see the O or we can see the M, but we are not seeing both at the same time. All right. And if I want to change one, I just right click over the switch layer and I can select here which layer I want to see. All right. So now I can just close that group and I am done with that. Of course, you can add more mouths, but we will just keep it like that for now. And I will create a new layer now for the nose. So I will call this layer nose, a vector layer. This is outside of the mouth. And let me just hide the group here. And again, I will just create a simple oval here. I will modify the points a little bit and the curvature. And now I will select the shape and change the color of the nose here and also of the border of the nose. Okay, so we have that. And now finally we need to create the ears. So I will create a new vector layer. I will call this ear 1. And I will come here and just add some points here, here, and here. And now I will add some more points there, like that. I don't know how visible is this for you, but I just created that shape and I will create the shape here. But we have the problem that the ear I just created, you can see there, is also being masked by the head. And I don't want that to be masked. I don't want the ears to be inside of the head. I want them to be outside. So to fix this is very easy. I can just right click on the ear layer and I can select don't mask this layer. So with that I tell the software, okay, this ear will ignore the mask. So now I can simply select the shape and I can pick again the orange and the brown border. All right. So now I am almost done with that. I will change a little bit of the, let me just remove this extra point that I made by mistake. Okay, I can change the line width. And now, of course, we have this extra line at the bottom and we don't want actually to see that. So to hide this, I will use the hide edge tool here. And with this, I can hide sections of my drawing. So if I click on this section, I'm just hiding this. And if I click in this one, I am just hiding that. So now the shape is still closed, but you are not seeing that line. All right. So I have one ear done. Now I will show the character again. And now I will simply duplicate this layer and I will call this ear 2. And now I will select these points and move them here. So I will adapt this to be closer to the shape of the second ear. So it will be something like that. And now the only thing is that the head is done, but this ear should be at the bottom of the character. Right now both ears are at the top. So what I'm going to do is to move this one down. I'm just dragging the layer and I will put it under the head. And now you can see the layer order is working. So we have the head ready to go. All right. Now I will continue with the body. The body is a bit simpler to draw than the head, so it should be quicker. So I will create a new vector layer. And you can see that I am not creating the vector layer inside of the head anymore because I'm not drawing parts of the head. So I will call this body, this new layer, and actually I will put it under the head. All right. And now I will just draw this main shape of the body. So again, I will just add some points here. Let's say this has a little bit of a neck here. So I will change the curvature Let's say I'm happy with that. So now I want to paint this shape, and I want to pick the green color from the cloth and the color from the line. All right, so we have the body ready there. We can change the line width if we want, but we have this one ready to go. And now I want actually to create a new group for the entire character. So I will select the body and I will hold shift and select the head, and now I will group with selection. So I will call this group character. All right, so now the body and the head are both inside of that group. And we will continue now with the arm. So in order to see the arm, actually, let me just pick some darker color there. Yeah, I like this more. I will create a new layer for the arm. So I will just create a new vector layer, call it arm1. And now I will hide the body because I actually want to see where the arm is in the picture. And now with the add point tool, I will create the full arm here. So I will create a line from here to here and from here to here. It is very important when we are drawing arms or any shape that we want to bend. Let me just show you here. If I draw a shape like this, and if I don't create a point in the middle of the shape, then if I want to bend this shape, if I want to bend the elbow, this shape won't bend because there are no points on the elbow. So if I want to have an elbow for this shape, I need to add a couple points here, and that will allow me to actually bend this shape. And then with some smart bones you can even modify how it bends later, but these 2 points are very important to have. So let me just undo that now. I want to come back here, so I will put this arm here again. Actually, let me fade the unselected layers so it will be more clear here. And now what I am going to do, because here we have a separation in the arm, we have the cloth and we have the skin of the arm. So I will just add a new point here and a new point here, and now I will drag a line between both points and will press enter. So now we have a separation there for this arm. And what I can do now is with the create shape tool, I can select first the bottom half of this and I can create a shape for this one, and then I can select the top half and create a second shape for this. So you see we have two shapes into the same pill shape here. So now let me just select make it disable the fade unselected layers, and now I will just pick this arm and I will take the orange from here and also the border color from here. All right, so we have our arm done. Now I can show the body too there. And now to create the second arm, I will just duplicate this layer. So now I have arm 2, and I will select the points of the arm 2 and I will move it, let's say, around here. Okay, now of course this arm, both arms are on top of the layer, but I want this second arm to be under the body, so I will just drag it here. Okay, so now the arm is under the body. And now I will create the legs. So I will create a new vector layer here. I will call it leg 1, and I will repeat the process. Actually, drawing the legs it's a bit simpler than the arms because I don't need to make that separation. So I will just do it quickly. It's a simple shape like that, and now I will just paint it and I have the leg done there. And actually now I will duplicate this leg to create the second leg and move it here, and I will put the second one under the first one like that, because this is the leg that is behind the other one. All right, and now we only need to create the tail. So the tail should be behind of the body, so I will create a new vector layer here. I will call it tail, and I will just create a circle here. All right, I can change the line width of this, And now let me just hide the character because I want to see how this line is. So I will draw this line with the add point tool. I will just draw the points here. Okay, so now I will just paint this line. So I will select the point of this line and I will paint it. All right, and I will take the color from here. So now I have the tail done. All right, so now the character is done. The entire drawing process is done for this. So now we are going to rig the character. All right, so to rig the characters we need to have a bone layer. Okay, so to do that I will just take this group layer and I will right click it and I will transform this group layer to bone. So you see here it says convert to bone. All right, so now this layer is actually a bone layer, and a bone layer is like a group, but it allows me to create new bones. So actually please remember that we are on frame 0 here, and now I can see the bone tools here. So I have the add bone tool here. I'm sorry, I'm hearing some weird noises here. Please let me know in the chat or in the questions panels if you are still hearing me, because it sounds a bit weird here, and I'm not sure if I am talking for myself maybe. So please let me know. Okay, I will continue for now. So I will start adding bones here. This is not a webinar about rigging, so the rig I will create here is very, very simple, okay? But you can improve that and you can check other webinars to know. Okay, thank you very much, Carolina and Nastaram. Thank you. All right, I will continue. So first, I will start with the first bone here, and I like to have a main bone that will allow me to move the entire body. So I will start with a bone here, so it will be a big bone pointing down there, and now from this bone I will start creating 2 bones for the body. Okay, I'm just dragging with the add bone tool, and now I will create a new bone for the head, and now I will create a new bone for the ear. Now a basic thing about the bones. Thank you very much for confirming that you are all hearing well. It makes me feel less lonely here. Thank you, Matthias, by the way. So I will create, I have this new bone, but now if I want to create the bone for the other ear, the way Moho works is that every new bone I create will be child of the bone that is red at that moment. So if I create a new bone now, that new bone will be child of the ear. And that means if I move this ear, then the other ear is also going to move. And I don't want that, because I don't want the bone to the other ear to be dependent of the first ear. Or I hope this makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I need to change. I need to have the head bone red. So in order to do that, I just go to the select bone tool and I click on the head bone, and you can see that now this bone is red. So now I can go to the add bone tool and I can add the new ear. So now I know that both ears are child of the head. All right. So now I will continue with the arms. So it's the same thing with the arms. Actually, I want the arms to be child of the chest bone. So I will select that bone, and now I will create a couple bones for one arm. And now I want to create the second arm, but the body is actually covering it, so I will hide the body for now. And I will select the chest again, and now create the 2 bones for the other arm. All right. And now for the legs, actually I want the legs to be child of this bone, so I will select this main bone here, and now create 2 bones for one leg, select the main bone again, and create the 2 bones for the other leg. All right. And now for the tail, actually, let me show the body again. For the tail, I want the tail to follow this bone, which is like the belly bone. So I will just select this bone now, and I will create a bone for this one. So that way, I'm sure the hierarchy of the bones is working. All right. Now, if we test this character, and here is a spoiler, it's not going to work. So if I use this tool, which is called manipulate bone tool, I can test how my rig is working. So I can just move the bones, and you can see things are bending, but not in a great way. So you can see it's not really working, and there are two reasons for that. The first reason is that this bone, they have a, do you see this these ovals around the bones? Those ovals are the strength of the bone. So the bigger the strength is, the more pixels or the more points that bone is going to move. All right. So here we have several bones, and they all have a lot of strength, so they are fighting each other to move the points. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to select all the bones with the select bone tool, and now with the bone strength tool, which is this little bone with an oval, we are going to drag to the left to make the strength smaller. So let's say something like that. All right. So now if I test it again, it's not going to work yet, but it's kind of working better in a way, but it's not really working yet. But that was the first step. The second step I need to do is I need to tell the software that there are parts of the body that are going to follow only some of the bones. All right. So I need to tell the software, okay, for instance, the arm here, if I select this arm, I can go to the select bone tool, and I can select, I will zoom in here, I can select the two bones of the arm, so you can see they are red now, and I can go to bone, use selected bones for flexi binding. All right. So with this, I am telling the software, okay, the arm is only going to use these two bones, and it will ignore the strength of any other bone. So I will click this, and now you can see these bones appear bold. That means this layer is linked to those bones now. So I will do the same from bottom to top. I will go to the leg now, select the two bones, and go to this menu. And you can see this menu has a shortcut. It's Ctrl-Shift-F or Command-Shift-F on the Mac. So I will start using the shortcut instead. So I will just click here to bind it now. So now you can see the leg is following these two bones. I will go to the other leg, select these two bones, and now I will use the shortcut instead, Ctrl-Shift-F, and now the leg is following only these two bones. And now the tail is going to follow only this bone, so Ctrl-Shift-F, and now the body will follow this and this bone. So if you want to select more than one bone, you can select one and then hold Shift on the keyboard and click on the other bone. So I have two bones selected and Ctrl-Shift-F. And now the other arm will follow these two, Ctrl-Shift-F. And now I will open the group of the head, and I will open the group of the mouth too. So now I can select the ear. So this is the ear, and I will tell the software, okay, this ear will follow this bone. And now I will select the head, and then I will hold Shift, and I will click on the nose layer. So I'm selecting all these layers here. So I will tell the software, okay, all these layers actually are going to follow this bone here. So I will just Ctrl-Shift-F. So I'm doing it for all the layers here. And now for the ear, I will just select the ear here and select this bone and Ctrl-Shift-F. All right. And now if I test this character, now it is working much better. Of course, you can still improve it, but you can see that I can move the entire character with this bone. I can bend the legs. I can move the head, the tail, move the ears here. So everything is working here. All right. So now we are ready to create the full body turn, which is what this webinar is about. All right. And to do that, I like to separate this in two parts. I want to, oh, thank you very much, Julio. I want to first create the rotation for the head, and then I will create the rotation for the rest of the body, because that way I can animate the head separated from the body. If I create a full body turn and everything is turning at the same time, your animation is going to be very stiff because the body is going to rotate with the head. So we will separate this in two parts. All right. Now, before doing that, I will make the image layer visible again. I will select it here, and I want to use this as a reference for the rotation. So what I am going to do is, with this layer selected and with the transform layer tool selected, I will go to this button here to flip the layer horizontally. So now you can see, let me just move it. You can see in the image is looking to the other side. All right. So I will use that as a reference to rotate my character. All right. Because I don't have a model sheet for this character. All right. So I just need to apply some techniques. And actually the rotation here is not going to be amazing, but you can do it better. I'm just trying to do it very quickly for the webinar. All right. So now what we are going to do is to create a new bone. And actually, let me show you something. I want to create a new bone for the rotation. So this new bone is going to be the controller of the rotation. All right. But I don't want this bone to be child of the selected bone. In this case, the ear is selected. So if I create a new bone here, that new bone will be child of the ear. I don't want this new bone to have any parent. So what I'm going to do is to press escape on the keyboard. And when I press escape, the software unselects everything. So there is no bone selected now. So that means that if I create a new bone now here, this bone has no parent. All right. So I'm going to create this new bone, but let's imagine this bone, you're seeing the character from the top view with this bone. And let's see the tip of the bone is actually the nose. So at this moment, the character should be pointing the nose around here, all right? So let's imagine if he rotates the head, the head is going to do something like this. If it's looking at the front, is doing that. If he's looking at the other side, he's doing something like that. So I will use the angle of this bone as a reference for the rotation, okay? So now I will just create this new bone pointing down, and now I will release the mouse here. Okay, so let's say this is the 3/4 view of my character, all right? And now I will reduce the strength of this bone to 0, so I will just drag to the left. Okay, because I don't want this bone to move any points or any pixels. And let me actually fade the unselected layers now, all right? So it will be easier to follow. And now I will select this bone, and you can see this bone has this bone has a name here. It's called B16, okay? But I want to change the name. I will call it head turn, all right? So I will just press enter there, and now I will show the label here. So you can see the label of the bone here, right? So this will be the controller for the head. Now, what I need to do is I can go to Window and open the Actions window, because we are going to transform this bone into a smart bone, all right? And to do that, I simply select the bone. Please remember I have the bone layer selected here. I select the bone, and I create a new action here, and you can see that the new action has the same name of the bone because that bone was selected. So if I click OK, now I am inside of this action, and you can see the timeline is blue now. This means that we are inside of the smart bone action. And inside of this action, I will go to the second 10 here. So I will move the cursor to the second 10, and I will use the transform bone tool, and I want to rotate this bone in 360. So this will be the full rotation of the head. So I will just rotate this bone in 360, and I will arrive more or less to the same angle than before. So if I check this animation, you can see this bone is rotating inside of this action. Okay, now I will right click on the keyframe here, and I will set it to linear because I don't want any acceleration on it. I want to keep the same speed. during the full rotation. So this keyframe is linear here. All right. And now we are going to start creating the actual rotation for this character. So let's start with the animation here. And you see the character is looking in it's like a 3/4 view to the right. And I will go to the timeline to a point where the bone is actually pointing to the left in 3/4. So let's say that is around frame 60. Okay. So I am here on frame 60. And now what I'm going to do is to select the head of the character. Okay, and actually I'm going to hide the entire character here so I can see the construction curves. And I'm going to start moving the points to adapt the head to the other view. So you can see I'm just moving these points for now. And I am adapting the shape so the character can look to the other side, and I can change the curvature too. So I will, for instance, increase the curvature here and reduce it here, and maybe modify it here. Let's say something like that. All right, so let's say I'm happy with that. So now we have that animation happening to the vector layer. Let me just make it visible here so you can see the vector layer is moving there. So now I will do the same for the rest of the body. So I will select the yellow layer here, and now I will move the points. Actually, I will select all the points again on frame 60. I will move all these points to the left, and I will start adapting the shape to match with that rotation. Okay, so this is why it was important to create this with some symmetry for the points, because that way I have enough material, enough points to manipulate here. So let's say it's something like that. So now if I look my animation, let me actually select the character, you can see the head and the yellow part of the head are rotating. So I will continue now with the eyes. Let me just hide. So I will just select both eyes, and I will move one here and the other here. So now the eyes are also moving at frame 60. And now for the mouth, what I am going to do is, instead of moving the vectors of the mouth, I will move the entire group, because do you remember that the mouth contains the O and the M? So instead of moving the O and the M independently, I will move the entire group. So I select the group and I go to the transform layer tool here, and I will just move the entire layer here. Okay, so its entire layer is moving there. All right, so that way it is moving everything that that layer contains. And I will go to the nose now. Let me just hide the rest. So I will move the nose to the left also. All right, and now we only need to adjust the ears. So for the ears, since they are moving with a bone, I will start moving the bone first. So I will just go to the bone layer and select this bone and move it to the left, and this one move it here. All right, oops, there. And now once they are in the correct position, I will select the first ear and I will adapt the points to match the actual drawing. So let's say something like that, and I will do the same with the other ear. So I will just move it to match here. All right, so now we have that rotation of the head, and we use the same model as a reference for this rotation. Okay, now there is one detail that is not working. Let me just hide the other layer for now. I am still inside of the action, please remember that. There is one detail that the ears are not changing the layer order there. So the ear that was on top is still on top even when the head rotated. So in order to fix that, I just need to select the group that contains those layers. In this case, it is the head group, and I will double click it, and I can go to the depth sort tab here, and I will select enable animated layer order. So if I click OK, now any change of the layer order that I do here in the timeline will create a keyframe. So for instance, maybe at this point at frame, I don't know, 30, this ear that was on top should go under the head there. So now if I select the group, you can see I have a keyframe there, which represents that movement. And now maybe at frame, I don't know, 45, I will take the other ear and I will put it on top of the head. So I will have another keyframe there. So now you can see I'm simulating the rotation by changing the layer order. Okay. So now, since I have the reference here, now I can go to the moment where the character looks at the front. Let's say this is around frame 30, and I can go to the head, and maybe I don't like how it looks, so I can just modify the points here to make it look better, or maybe not better. I don't know if I will make it look better, but I'm trying to improve this here very quickly. But I can just adjust the points. So you can modify that. You have control to modify that. So maybe now in the middle the character will look like that. All right. So it's a bit weird what I did, but you get the idea. So you can edit this, and you could also edit even the M mouth. Maybe you want something more curved there, so you can even modify that. Okay, and then on 60 it will be again sharp. All right. So we have the first part of our full rotation, but we need to continue. So now what we are going to do is to check this bone and say, okay, at this point the character should be on total profile, right? Because the bone is pointing to the left. So let's say at frame 87, I will just modify the character to be fully on profile. This is not going to work great because I don't have any reference and I'm doing this very quickly, but please imagine that it's working great. So I will just move the ears. They should be around here, and maybe the yellow part of the body should be around here, and the eyes should be around here. Oh, by the way, I'm using Alt and right click to select the layers. So if you hold Alt and right click over any layer, you can select it very quickly. So I'm doing that for now, and I will move the mouth here, and actually I will modify the shape of the ears, so maybe they will be a bit thinner when they are on profile. Okay, let's say something like that. Again, this is not a great result, but it's just to show you how the process works. And actually we'll move the nose. Maybe it will be something like that here. All right, and now we will continue with the rotation. And now at the moment this bone is pointing up, which means the character is pointing back, I will just take the head. This is frame 145. So I will just take the head and I will just copy the keyframe of the head from frame 0 to frame 145. Actually, no, not the from frame 0, from frame 30. Because that was like frame 30 was the front view of the character. So I'm just copying the front view, but now it will be the back view. And I will take the yellow and I will move it to the left. So it will be outside of the head. And I will take the eyes and I will move also them to the left. And I will take the group of the mouth and I will move it to the left. And the same with the nose. And for the ears, I will just adapt them to work in the rotation like that. Okay, and now I will adapt them to have a better shape here. I will just select them like that. All right, so let's say I'm very happy with this. The only thing that we have left now is we need to change the layer order of the ears. So I will just take let's say the ear that is behind should be on top, like that. So now at this point the ears are on top, and maybe it could be a bit sooner, so I will just move this keyframe a bit sooner there. All right, so let's say I'm very happy with this rotation so far. All right, and now I will continue, and now the character, if I continue in the timeline, this bone is rotating here, so the character should be pointing to the left at this point. So I will do that. I will just take the shapes and make the character point to the left like that. Ah, no, sorry, I forgot one key point here. So do you remember that in 145 we moved all the shapes to the left, right? Now to simulate the 3D rotation in the next frame, in 146, I'm going to take all these shapes and I will move them to the right. Okay, so from one frame to the other, they are jumping from left to right. So I will do the same with the eyes. I will do the same with the mouth group layer. I will do the same with the nose, and I think that's all. Yeah, so I did the same for all of them. So you can see I have two keyframes here. At the beginning, at the first keyframe, they are at the left, and in the next one they are at the right. Okay, and that will allow me, if I create the profile now here around frame 206, I will start with the head. So let's just modify the head. So I will change the curvature there. Let's say this is the profile view, and now I will move the yellow part here, something like that. Let's say something like that. All right, and I will move the eyes also, so this eye should appear here, and the mouth should also appear at this point, and the nose should also appear on this point. And now I just need to adjust the ears. So let me just see the movement here. So actually this ear should be around here and this one around here. And now I need to modify the layer order. So the ear that is at the top should be behind of the head now. So something like that. Again, I know this is not great as a character, but it's just to show you how to simulate this 3D rotation. And now finally, at the end of the animation, the bone is going back to the original rotation. So what I'm going to do is just select the head, go to frame 0 here and copy the keyframes from frame 0 to second 10. And I will do the same with the yellow. I will do the same with the eyes. I will do the same with the mouth and the same with the nose. And I will also select the bone layer, and I will select these two bones of the ears, and I will take the position keyframe here and I will copy and paste it here. And now the vector layers of the ears, they also have some movement, so I will just copy and paste the vector movement of them. So now we have the full rotation. And it's totally broken for some reason. Let me see what is going on here. I think I did something wrong there. Yeah, look how beautiful is that. I don't know what I did there. I think it was a bad idea to move the curvature so much. So I will just modify that. All right, now I fixed it. I'm sorry, I think I just messed with the Bezier handles too much there. You can do it better there with more time. But now we have the full body turn. Sorry, the full head turn. All right. So let's say I'm very happy with this. So now once I am done, I can select the bone layer of the character, and I can double click on the main line here in the actions window. And now we are going to create a second bone for the body rotation. Okay. So for this bone, for this I will select the bone layer. I will go back to frame 0. So now I can, let me just see that. Okay, so now I will just press escape because I want this new bone to not have any parents. And I will create a new bone in the same angle, but I will call this bone body turn. All right, and I will show the label here, and I will reduce the strength, and we are going to repeat the process for the body. Luckily, the body is much easier to rotate than the head, so don't worry too much about that. So I will create a new action for the body turn, and I will do the same. I will rotate this in 360 like that. I will set the angle to linear, sorry, the keyframe to linear, and I will repeat the same process. So for instance, at this point on frame 30, the character is looking front, so I will just separate the arms a little bit. I'm mostly moving the bones here, so I will separate the arms and the legs. The tail should be behind of the body, let's say something like that. All right, but now you can see the layer order is not really working here, and that is because I need to animate the layer order. So since I want to animate the layers that are directly inside of the bone layer of the character, I will double click the bone layer. I will go to depth sort and I will activate animated layer order. All right, so it's the same with the head, but this time is with the full body. So now I can tell maybe at this point the tail will be behind the legs and the arm. So now if I check the animation, now the tail is behind, and actually maybe at frame 30 the arm here will be on top of the layer, and maybe the body, just to make it look a bit better, maybe the body is thinner when you look at front, so it will be something like that. Okay, and you can see how the layer order is changing. So now we will continue here, and let's say I will go to the position of the profile view, so it's around frame 92. So now here I will move this bone here, I will move this bone here, and everything will be closer here because we are on profile. And the tail, which is, let me see, I lost the tail bone. Where is the tail bone? It's this one. Okay. This one, the tail should be around here because we are in the profile view. So we have that. And now of course we need to animate the layer order. So this arm that was on front, now it should be behind, sorry, the other arm. Let me go back to the action here. So I'm back in the action. So this arm 1 should be behind of the legs, and actually the leg that was behind now should be on top. So I'm just modifying the layer order here, and you can see the keyframes of the layer order here, so you can see how it changes. So now I have my profile view. Maybe if I want, I can make the character a bit thicker here because this is the profile now. All right, and I will continue. So now we are going to create the back view, which will be around here, 152. So we will take, this arm should be around here, this arm should be around here, this leg should be here, and the other leg should be here, and the tail now should be in the middle there. Okay, and now I just need to modify the layer order. So let's say maybe the tail will pass to the front at this frame, so I will just move it to be in front there, and then I will continue here, and maybe this arm is going to be behind the body and the legs here. So now in the back view both arms are behind of everything. Okay, and now we need to create the profile view around frame 212. So in the profile view the tail will move like that, this arm should be around here, this arm should be around here, everything should be closer because we are on profile now there, and the body maybe will be a bit thicker here. All right, we are almost done here, And now I just need to animate the layer order. So now maybe at this point, this arm should be on top of the body. And maybe the leg 1 should be on top of leg 2. So we have that now. And now we just need to go back to the 3/4 view. So in order to do that, I will just select in the last frame here, I will just select the bones for both legs and the arms. I will just copy the position keyframe here. And now I will select the bone of the tail, and I will copy both the position and the rotation keyframe there. And now select the body and copy from 0. I will copy this into this. So now we have that rotation happening. All right. So we have the full body turn working there. Of course, we can work on the details and everything, but this is how you build the most basic one. So now I can go back to the character bone layer. I can go to the main line here. And now I can simply animate this character. So I am back in the main line. So I can just rotate the head, and I can rotate the body, and I can also move the character, and I can simply start animating, and that rotation is now part of the animation too. So if I want the character to look back, I can still do that, and I can just move the bones in the way I want. So now we have that. So yeah, again, nothing extremely fancy happening here, but this is how you build it. And if you find any problem, for instance, here I found that the ear is not transforming well. What I can do is I can simply go back to the head turn here, double click on the action, and go to the frame where that problem is happening. So it's around here, and I can simply select the ear, fix it, and check how it is working now. So now I can go back to the main line, and now that problem is fixed. So you always have room to fix other things. So that's it, I think. Let me see how my Mario, I had some problems with my headphones, so I don't know if I can hear you now, but I will try to hear you.
See. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for this wonderful webinar. As you mentioned, there's people from around the globe watching the webinar. Everybody is really having fun. Thank you all for your questions. Do you want to go to some of the questions, Victor?
Yes, I can go to the questions. Okay. Thank you very much. I hope this was clear enough. I tried to cover a lot on this one. Sorry if it was a bit rushed. Okay, so thank you very much for all the nice messages here. Can we get the character to do the same? Yeah, I think we can. Yes, we will put it once we put the webinar on YouTube. We can also upload the image of the character there. Just remember this was created by Onya McGuinness, so give her the credits for it if you create something, or try to create something different. That will be nicer actually too. Someone asked, Limbo Mask is asking, layer masks only work on vectors, right? Or they can also work with bitmaps? Yeah, layer mask, they work with whatever you want to mask. The only thing, I mean, the only limitation is that the preview of the mask is limited. So especially if you are using images, you will have to render a preview to see how the mask is working. In this case, this is very simple, so the mask is working well. But if you are doing something more complex, you will have to go to File, Preview, and that will render a preview, and it will show you the how the actual mask is working. Pedro Monteon, I think, he's asking, how do you know whether... Oh, I lost the question. Okay, how do you know whether to move the bone or the points within the layer? That's a very good question, I think. No, within the layer, Wait, the window to the question is so small I cannot even read the full questions here. Okay. How do you know whether to move the bone or the points within the layer for the head turn? Okay. Basically, you always animate from the general to the detail. All right. So the way to know this is that, let's say, okay, let me just remove the animation here. If I want to animate the ears, I will have to rotate and move the bones of the ears, right? But if during the action for the head turn I move the points, let's simulate that. Let's say I move the points here. Now the points are not really they are still connected, but they are not very close to the bone. So now if that happens and I move the bone, you will get this. You see, because the points are actually very far from the bone. So that's why instead of moving the points when you are creating the action, especially if that part of the body is being moved by a bone, you first set the position with the bone and then you go to the points and adjust it. So that way you are sure that the bone is still has a pivot on the center of that drawing. I hope that makes sense. Okay, Veronica is asking, can we use this strategy with mesh layers? Yeah, basically, like, you can use this with any layer. With vector layers, you can move the points, but with mesh layers, actually, you can also move the points there, or you can move entire layers, like in the way I did with the. Actually, I didn't show that. Let me show you here. In the way I did with the mouth. So, for instance, if I move it here, I can go to the switch layer and I can change the mouth. So now we have the rotation and the mouth working. So I can just change that. So yeah, basically any channel you can animate, you can apply it to this technique. It can be a mesh or anything. Let me see other questions here in this very tiny window. Okay, Carolina Flores, may I ask why have two bones in the torso in such a small character? Because I don't know, I think small characters also like to bend the body, no? I think, I mean, it will, I guess it will depend on the style you want to animate, but I always feel that if you don't have two bones for the body, the animation could look a bit stiff or a bit too much cut out. So I like to have this extra bone. Another thing that I like to do, and probably is not going to work very well here, but I like to select these bones and go to the bones constraints here and select squash and stretch scaling. So then I can squash and stretch both parts of the body, so you can get some nice results there too. So I like to have that independence there. So look how fancy the character is now. Yeah, way better than the original design. I hope that answers the question. Let me see what else. So people is saying that they hear me well. Okay, could this type of rig work with point binding as opposed to flexi binding? Why did we use flexi binding here? More simple? Yeah, actually, yeah. This type of technique, it works with any way you can rig your character. In this case, I use flexi binding because it is really the quickest way to have a character working. So, and I only had 1 hour to make all this, so I try to take as many shortcuts as possible. But yeah, you can use point binding, sorry. So for instance, I could just bind these points to this bone and these points to this other bone, and now it will bend like that. And also, this is something that I didn't show on the webinar, but I can also select this bone and I can create a smart bone for it. So let's say I can tell, okay, when this bone rotates here, actually I want these layers to move like that. So I have this nicer shape here. So now if I go back to the main line, now every time I rotate this, it will rotate in that way. So yeah, point binding, layer binding, flexi-bind, anything will work with the technique. It's just, yeah, just shortcuts to save time. Let me see if I can find anything else. All right. Thank you very much for the nice messages. I cannot read all of them. There are too many. I cannot read all of them now, but thank you very much. I'm trying to find questions. All right. Thank you very much. It was amazing and eye-opening, says Jolly Squid Ebele. My question is more a technical thing related to the reference image. I imported an image and I was imitating your process with it. Somehow by mistake, I closed Moho. When I opened it, the reference image was gone, but the Moho vector is there. How can I keep the reference image in the project without losing it when I open the project again? Well, normally when you save an image, try to save it next to your file. Normally what I do with my projects is that I have the Moho file here. I was testing this webinar before, so I have the Moho file here and I have a folder which is called images, and I put every image related to that project there. So that way for Moho it's very easy to find those images. If you are using an image that maybe, I don't know, it was in the temp files of the computer or anything like that, or it was at the desktop and you remove it or something like that, yeah, you will lose the connection. But try to keep everything close together. Moho tries to keep the images linked as much as possible, but yeah, that link can be broken from time to time. Okay, does moving bones in actions later conflict with the main animation? For example, if you want to move the bone in the main animation and also do a turn at the same time, all right, in theory, they don't, because the animation is added, but actually, this is a good question because I was very careful to do something. Especially if you are using target bones. Let's say I didn't use target bones here, but let's say I will put a couple target bones for the legs here. Let me just set up that. Okay, so now the character has these target bones for the legs, all right? The target bones, they work well when your action, they will work with your action, but actually if you go to the body turn action, and you rotate any of the bones of the leg, then you will break the connection with the target bone. So that target bone is not going to work anymore. So if I go back to the main line, now you can see that this leg is actually not following the target anymore. There are something very weird happening here. So actually when I was building this, I was very careful. When I was moving the legs, I never rotated the leg. I only moved the position there. Just in case I wanted to use target bones, I preferred to do it that way. Okay. Let me see if okay, I hope that explains this. But if you are just modifying the position or the scale of the bones, everything works very well. You are just adding more movement. It's in a way it feels like having layers of movement. So for instance, I move this bone here and that is one layer of movement, and then I move the body turn here and that is like adding a second layer of movement for that bone in particular. Okay, Juan Antonio Mancilla is asking for the webinar in Spanish. You know what? When I was testing the webinar, I recorded a Spanish version, so maybe I will upload it later. Let's see. Maybe, I don't know. I need to see if I still have the file. But if I have it, yeah, I can put it in Spanish. Can you have actions inside actions? I don't think so, but I'm not sure. I don't want to test that here, like in real time in front of 100 people. But I will check that later. I don't think it is possible. All right. I think, yeah, it's almost 6:20 here, so I think we are ready to go now. No, I'm a bit tired. Is that okay? Are you there, Mario?
Yes, thank you so much, Victor. If you could just share the last slides
Oh
to
yeah,
finish
yeah.
the webinar.
Let's
Some
talk
of you
about
asked,
this.
this webinar has been recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So please remember to subscribe and you'll get a notification once the video is available. Also, the future 2D. Moho is a powerful 2D animation software that combines the most powerful animation technology with state-of-the-art professional animation tools. Draw, rig, and animate easily. You can create your characters directly in Moho with its vector tools, optimized for animation, or import images from Photoshop files, keeping the link and layer structure. For more information, visit our website, mohoanimation.com. And as I mentioned you, this webinar will be hosted in our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe and follow our other social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and also TikTok as
Yeah.
Moho Animation.
And subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are not. Please, we really want to achieve 100,000 subscribers at some point. I don't know when, but it will be nice if we can do that. So please
Yeah,
subscribe to our YouTube channel.
we're nearly there.
I
So
mean,
don't, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much, Victor, for this amazing presentation.
thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, if you have more questions, you can post them on YouTube once the webinar is there. And I will try to take a look there. All right?
Yeah. So stay tuned for our next events in our social. See you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.